Hey guys, today we're going to look at how to do some rodeo art drawings. I'm going to show you how to draw your very own rooster, and then we're going to add color to him. So the things that you are going to need today are a white sheet of paper. You're also going to need a pencil, and if you have a black marker, you're going to need that also. I like to use a Sharpie, but you don't have to use a Sharpie. A plain black marker will work just fine. And then to add color, you can use crayons, markers, colored pencils, any of those materials that you have available to you at your house. So the first thing that we're gonna do today is go ahead and start by drawing our rooster. And I'm gonna show you a very easy way to do that. So the first thing you're gonna do on your paper, you wanna make sure that it's turned vertical. That means that the long sides of your paper are going up and down. And right about here in the middle of our paper where my finger is pointing, we're gonna draw ourselves a nice big circle. Now, you don't wanna draw it too dark, because if you draw it too dark and you mess up, it's gonna be really hard for you to erase. So I'm gonna draw mine a little lighter than normal, okay? Or a little lighter than I normally would if we were in the classroom. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw myself a nice big circle. You don't want it too big, because if you draw it too big, you won't have room for the body. And this is gonna be our rooster's head. Now, we have to create his body. So underneath our circle, but kind of attached to the back, we're gonna draw ourselves a backwards J. And this is gonna be his back and lead into his tail. So then you can go ahead and move on to the front, and attach to the bottom of that circle we drew for his head, you can go ahead and draw yourself another big old curvy line for his body and attach it to the big J that we drew. And you're gonna notice that you've got this nice big interesting shape. We have a nice big old rooster right here. Now you'll look and see that the bottom of our circle right here, we don't need that anymore. So you can take an eraser and you can erase that line. If you don't want to erase it, you can leave it and you can just make that part of the design of the feathers that he has, but I'm gonna erase that one. So now you should have one big shape. His head is now attached to his body. You don't have to draw any legs, so don't worry about that. So let's go ahead and add the shape for his wing. His wing is going to come off of his body also, so it's gonna overlap this line that you have right here for his back. So right here in the middle of his body, let's draw ourselves a circle, just like we did for the head. And then attached to it, we're gonna draw an upside down V. So you're gonna come off. I kind of like to make mine curve a little bit. And then we're gonna come down. Now, this line that we drew over, you can erase that. And you can also erase the other line that we have from our circle. You don't need those anymore. And it's okay if you mess up. You can always start and stop as much as you need to, okay? Now, normally if you drew really light, you wouldn't be able to see this leftover pencil, but because I'm drawing darker, you can still see it when I erase. That's okay, we'll cover that up later. Now, let's go on to the fun part. We need to add our details to our rooster. So on the top of his head, we're gonna give him his little rooster feathers. And you're gonna draw yourself a nice, curvy, bumpy line. Okay? And then on the front of his face, we're gonna give him a nice big old beak. And then underneath his beak, he's got some skin that hangs down. So you're gonna draw yourself another curvy line, kind of like an upside down heart. We're gonna give him an eye. My rooster has his eye closed and he's got some eyelashes. Next, we're gonna add some decoration to our rooster. We're gonna draw in some detail for his feathers. I'm gonna start on his wing first. Your feathers do not have to look like mine. In fact, I don't want them to look like mine. I want you to come up with your own designs for your feathers, and you can use lots of lines and shapes to do that. The more interesting design you have, the cooler it's gonna look. Gonna add some little extra lines back here. Now I know this is not what roosters look like in real life, and that's okay because this is art and we can make our art look however we want it to look. It's our design. I'm also going to go into his body and give him some feather decorations. I'm going to draw some lines. And then I'm going to break up all of that space because I want to put lots of different colors in it when I do add my color. Okay. All right, I'm going to go into his head feathers and I'm going to add some really cool designs there also. Okay. Next step, I'm going to add a big sun up here in my top corner. Maybe my sun has some interesting little shapes in it. This is what we call abstract. It means that that's not how the sun really looks in real life, but because this is our artwork, we can make it look however we want it to look. And those of you that have had me before know that Miss Fun likes to make things look a little fancy, so that's how I'm gonna do it. Okay. I'm also going to add some clouds in there. You don't want to draw too many clouds because if you draw too many, it'll take away from looking at our rooster. And to draw our clouds, we're going to make nice, curvy, wavy lines and connect them. Now at the bottom of our paper, we're going to go in and we're going to add some flowers. Maybe our rooster is standing in a field. And when you do that, you're probably going to overlap part of your rooster that you already drew. That's okay. You can just erase the part of the rooster that you don't want to see that's standing behind the flower. When you overlap something, you have something that is in front of something else. For example, my hand, if I put my other hand on top of it, it is overlapping and you can't see my hand that's on the bottom now. So that's what we're going to do with our flowers. We're going to make it look like our rooster is standing behind our flowers. So I'm going to draw one big flower down here. And I'm drawing my petals on top of my rooster, and then I'll go back and erase the part of the rooster that I don't want to see. And like I said, because I drew kind of dark with my pencil, I'll probably still see a little bit of it left over, but that's okay. I'll cover it when I go to add my color. And then I'm going to give it a stem and some leaves. You can add some more flowers. I'm going to add a stem over here. Maybe this flower looks a little different. Maybe I have some more over here. These are your flowers. You can decide what they look like. And maybe I just have some leaves that stick up or some grains of blades of grass. Maybe there's one big one that comes up here and it has spirals on it. Okay, so there's my drawing. My next step would be to take my black marker and trace over what I drew so I have some nice big thick lines. If you don't have a black marker, you don't have to do this step. You can skip it if you want. It's your decision. You pick because it's your artwork. But I would trace over the entire thing. My next and final step would be to add my color to it. You can use crayons or markers, whatever you have to add your color. I have one done already. And on this one, I used paint. You might not have paint at home, and that's okay. If you have paint, watercolor paint, you can use watercolor paint to paint everything in. If you just have crayons or markers, you can use those and everything will work just fine. But you can see I've got my grass, I have some flowers, I have my rooster, and I've done my sun, and I even went in and painted my sky a little bit. You can pretend the paper clip's not there, that's holding it together. Okay, so I cannot wait to see what you come up with. If you would like to use this for your rodeo art submission, you may do so. You just email me and let me know, okay? So have fun. I can't wait to see what you come up with, and don't forget to take a picture of it and submit it to me using the submit button on Canvas. You have 2 weeks to complete this if you want, okay? All right, have fun.